it was truly so surreal that I became numb. And we cried that whole visitation.
Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley are speaking out for the first time on the death of their daughter, Savannah Chrisley's ex-fiancé, Nic Kerdiles. The couple emotionally talked about his passing on the August 20th episode of their podcast, Chrisley Confessions 2.0, revealing why they waited so long to speak out.
You know that I've been putting off this next topic because it is still very painful for me, but I have had so many people send me messages on Instagram wanting to know why I haven't discussed it. And I just wasn't ready to discuss it. I'm actually not ready to discuss it today. But out of respect for Nic and the love that we have for him today and will have for him for the rest of our days, I'm going to have this conversation one time and I'm never talking about it again. So a lot of the questions were, why have you not talked about Nic on the podcast yet? Well, that's very simple because it is still very fresh to me. My heart has not healed, and I don't know that it ever will heal. And I don't feel like I owe that to you. I don't feel like I owe it to anyone to talk about how I feel about him today versus how I felt about him when he lost his life. But out of respect for the love that we have for him, I will tell you it was the hardest thing that I have ever dealt with in my life.
Nic had a close relationship with the Chrisley family. He dated Savannah from 2017 to 2020 and died 3 years later in September 2023 following a motorcycle accident in Nashville. He was 29 years old. When looking back at his passing, Todd admits it's one of the hardest things he's dealt with and explained they still kept in touch even after his split from Savannah.
Nic Kerdiles was one of the finest, funniest, kindest young men. And I so wanted he and Savannah to be married. I wanted grandchildren. And that didn't come to pass. But even when they broke up, I still had lunch with Nic. I still talked to Nic every day. We text 1 million times a day. When I left to go to the prison in Pensacola, Nic took me.
Well, I think before that, Nic was there during our trial.
He was there the entire time of the trial.
He drove us every day to trial. He made sure we had something to eat in the mornings, Starbucks,
and this was
whatever.
when he and Savannah were no longer together as a couple.
Not.
But he was still there for us.
Absolutely, he was.
Todd then recalled learning about Nic's passing from Savannah when she visited him at the Florida prison where he was serving his sentence after being found guilty of tax evasion.
And I remember the day that I walked into the VR, the visitation room. Savannah had her back turned. So when I walked in, all I saw was her back with her and she and Grayson and Chloe. And I said, hey. And Chloe ran to me and was crying. I said, what's wrong? And Savannah turned around and I said, what's wrong? And she fell into my arms and she said, he's gone. I said, who's gone? Because all I could think of was Chase. And I said, who's gone? And she said, Nic. And I remember just crumbling. I didn't care who saw it in the waiting room. I just remember crumbling. And falling.
Because she found out
as she landed. As soon as she landed, okay. there in Pensacola. As soon as she got off the plane, and it was truly so surreal that I became numb.
For Julie, she started to really process Nic's death once they were released from prison earlier this year after President Donald Trump's pardon.
even though all this stuff is continuing to happen, your kids are growing, things are happening, it kind of stopped when you came into the prison. So it was just weird to come home
and him not be here.
Because there is no doubt in my mind
that he would have been he would have picked me up.
He would have picked you up.
Yes.
There is no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
Even though he and Savannah, had been apart for a few years then, there's no doubt in my mind he would have picked you up. And, I've said, it just seems weird. It just seems weird that Nic hadn't come by the house.Nic's not,
During the candid conversation, Todd says he is still grieving the life that Nic could have had and talked about his legacy.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of him. And I think I still grieve the what could have been.
Right. Yeah.
Because I had always hoped.
Yeah, they would find their way back.
They would find their way back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think Savannah felt that they would find their way back.
Yeah.
She had said that.
Yeah.
She says, we'll figure this out. We'll figure it out. And so many people have reached out to me about, they couldn't get in touch with me, but when Nic passed, but that they wanted to let me know that they knew how much I loved him. And I said, no, I love.
Right.
It's not past tense for me. My love is not past tense. And so I've given you what you've asked for. I've talked about something that is very near and dear to me.
Someone that is very near and dear.
Yes. And so don't message me anymore and ask me anything about him, because I've given you all I'm going to give you for him. The kid could not even die in peace that the tabloids was not running stories about Savannah Chrisley's fiancé killed on a motorcycle wreck. It should have been Nic Kerdiles, former NHL player. He had success in his life.
Successful real estate agent, just so many things.
Exactly.
So many
and
things.
He was so much more than Savannah Chrisley's fiancé, ex-fiancé, boyfriend. He was a good, decent, honorable human being who loved and wanted to be loved. And I feel blessed and honored to know that for 4.5 years, God gave us that.
Right.
And he felt that. Nic Kerdiles did not leave this earth feeling as if the Chrisleys did not love him.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, that's the end of my conversation about my son, Nic Kerdiles.